Now I'm going to talk a little bit about description. It's hard to say what it is. So, what is it? We describe things all the time. It reports the testimony of your senses. So, what you hear and what you smell and what you feel. It invites the reader to imagine with you. Now, obviously, if you think of good fiction, for example, description is very important. How the writer describes the villain, the words that she uses to describe him, the actions that describe the villain, make the reader, theoretically, dislike the villain. Similarly, just in our daily life, if you think about it, we're describing things all the time. If we talk about a teacher, the teacher is good, bad, indifferent, whatever else. So, description is a huge part of our daily life. If you have little kids, for example, or if you've been around little kids at all, and all of us probably were at one time, hopefully, um, the one thing that is striking is how when they go to tell you a story, their ability or inability to describe things. And so they may lack vocabulary, but they may have colorful phrases or a colorful way of looking at things. And so description is very important, really, in all that we do. So, generally speaking, there's two purposes for description. You can convey information without bias, so it's objective. And an example might be academic writing about the population of wolves in northern Wisconsin. So in this case, and you might imagine a DNR document, they go, they do some studies. There's 653 wolves in northern Wisconsin, and here's where the counties, how they're distributed. It's straightforward. It describes things about the wolves, describes the wolves' population. It might describe what the wolves are eating or their interaction with landowners, but it's without bias. It's objective. These are things that happen. Another purpose of description is convey perceptions with feeling, subjective. So an example of that might be a paper by a wolf advocate or wolf advocates talking about the wolf as a symbol of the wilderness. Wolves are beautiful. Wolves are wild, right? And using words in, we might call it loaded language, but descriptive language to get the reader to have a certain reaction. So they understand their audience, right? Who will be their readership, and then they have a purpose in the words that they are using. So if you think about the process of description, as I just said, once again, you always consider your purpose and audience, and it's utilizing description really emphasizes the importance of understanding your audience and the importance of having purpose. If I go back to Stephen King again, because everybody knows him, he's writing books to a particular audience, an audience that, generally speaking, wants to be scared or thrilled, and he knows what kind of impressions, what kind of situations to put his characters in, how to describe those characters, the descriptive words about them as people, descriptive words about whatever monster it is, descriptive words about when that monster attacks the person, to create the reaction on the part of his audience that he wants. So that is his purpose. If you think about using dominant impression or thesis with your description, an example might be the chemical spill resulted in the mass die-off of brown trout, right? It's kind of spill, kind of brown trout, mass die-off. All those words describe a situation, give you an image in your mind, and that's designed to have you react one way or the other. When you use description, you want to organize from a particular point of view, and that goes back again to your purpose. Details are very important. If I say there's a young woman, that's one thing, but there's a young woman, she's dressed a certain way, she's pushing a baby carriage, she looks frazzled. Now you're getting some idea about this young woman. You want to use specific and concrete language. So in other words, the word frazzled, in the example I just gave, it tells us, maybe her hair is unkempt. Things like this that describe the person or the situation very particularly so the reader has a picture in their mind. So then I have an example. If I go back. So example, and I wrote it about trout fishing. So I remember catching my first brook trout, at least the first one caught all on my own. The stream where this event took place meandered through what was once a pasture, its banks overgrown with alders and rushes. So what I'm doing is trying to create, here's the stream that I'm at, right? It's a small stream. It's a meandering stream. As trout streams go, it wasn't much. It's muddy bottomed and narrow enough to run through an oversized culvert set underneath the town road. So, with this language, I'm trying to set the scene. It's a little creek that doesn't have a lot of use. It's kind of forgotten. It's a good place for a kid to go. An old tire stuck out of the mud at the culvert's mouth. So, again, it's kind of a very rural area. People throw things there. They don't care much about trout fishing. And I end with, apparently the litterer wasn't much of an angler. So hopefully with this paragraph, what I've done is set the scene for the reader to understand. Here I am as a little kid. I'm going to this stream. It's kind of a crummy little stream. It's not really much of a trout stream at all. People throw garbage next to it, but it's the opportunity that I have as a child. And so there's some concrete language there. And what I'm trying to do is evoke certain emotions or certain images on the part of the reader. And that's what you do with description.